All right, in this video, I'm going to share with you how to read more. And for the for over maybe 6 years now, I've been reading a lot more. And through my own experience, I'm going to share with you how to read more with the tactics that I learned over the years from reading from other experts that have been able to read more. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a real short and honest and quick way of actually trying to read more, because in this world of technology, there's just so many distractions out there and there's so many mediums of entertainment that it could be quite hard to take a time aside from your day-to-day life with other obligations and responsibilities to selfishly read to expand your mind. So right now, just a quick overview. I've been reading this book. It's called The Karamazov Brothers. And 5 years ago, my attention span was so small, so short, that it was unimaginable for me to be able to read such a book like this, because it's not only thick and over 800 pages, but it's because the descriptive writing is quite advanced. It's actually one of the most popular European literatures in the market. So it's really popular. Fyodor Dostoevsky is a real renowned Russian literature. I read his other book, Crime and Punishment, which was quite tough to read for me, but I got over it and I got really into it, and I'm very happy that I finished it. And that's why I'm reading his other book, because it was that good of a writing, because I've never been exposed to such a good writing before. Anyhow, to be able to read more, my first tip is you have to put the books that you want to read in environments where you typically go to. So sometimes a really weird example could be you could leave your book at near your bathroom counter. Sometimes if you're going for number two, you could reach back and then see your book right there. So instead of scrolling your phone, you'll probably touch the book and start reading. So that's one advice, is that because you see it all the time, wherever you typically sit or wherever you typically walk around, it will kind of give you like a cue to want to read more, because you've already told yourself of the obligation that you want to read more. So that's why you have to use these tricks to read more. My second advice is try to read at least 15 minutes in the morning or after lunch or or before sleeping. So what I do is I leave my Kindle next to my bedstand. My bed, like near my bed, near my pillow, on the table, because that allows me to read before I sleep. And sometimes it becomes like a routine for you to sort of wind down throughout the night and have a proper sleep. So that helps me a lot with just reading whatever I want for maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And then if you think it's short at that time, but if you think about it over a span of a month or even a few months or 6 months, is actually a lot of reading done. That's why I think it's really productive and easy to follow if you are able to do that. And then other advice is my third advice is if you could get a Kindle, because I think it is so much easier to read more if you have a Kindle, because it's portable, it's easy to download or buy a book. And you don't actually need to buy a book anymore. I will show you a small tactic that I use, what you do is you go on libgen.com, which is like a pirate-based sort of website where you can download books, and you can pretty much download any book that you want for free. And then you get this app called Send to Kindle in your laptop, and then you just upload the EPUB or PDF file on Send to Kindle app, and you can just send it to your Kindle Cloud, and it's automatically in your Kindle for free. So you can actually read books for free these days, which is bizarre to think about, which is magnificent. So that's what I would say. And another thing is try to always prioritize reading. Like you have to you have to, in a way, have the motivation, even though motivation sometimes isn't as important as discipline. But I think both kind of go hand in hand. Like you need one or the other, and you need both of them to work together, because if you don't have the motivation, you won't do it. And if you don't have the discipline, you're not able to follow up with your motivation, and you just kind of be lingered with regrets. So you have to really want to read, and that's how you would do it. And my other bonus advice is not to start with books like this, because it does require quite amount of attention. It does require a quite amount of discipline to read, because it is quite a long read, and it is a novel. So sometimes throughout the pages, like after the 100th page or even 200th page, you might sort of don't want to finish the book, or you kind of get bored, right? So once that happens, my other tip is try to stack books, right? I think James Clear from Atomic Habits popularized this term, but you're pretty much stacking habits. You could do it the same way with stacking on your reading habits. So what I do sometimes is if I kind of get stuck with quite an advanced read, and I get kind of bored, then I start shifting. I stack another book on top of the habit that I want to read. So I'm reading like something like this, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big by Scott Adams, and then his writing is a little bit easier to read for me. So then I'm still getting my reading done, but I'm reading a different book, and that kind of helps me because I'm stacking my reading habit, and then that's how it helps me with not having to give up on the book that I initially wanted to finish. So this really works, is the stacking habit reading. And the last thing is, I think a lot of people, or including myself, we kind of struggle with remembering what we read about. So a really quick advice that I could give is write something about the book that you read. So you could go on websites like Goodread, where you can share your book reviews, or you could just write something that you think that helped you understand deeper, or even your own experience from the reading, or what you thought about the book. And just by writing a few paragraphs on, or even one paragraph on writing about the book that you read, I think kind of solidifies the neurons to remember the lessons that you got from the book. And you don't have to remember everything, but if you just write a little bit about the books that you read, I think it goes a long way in terms of remembering what you read about. And a lot of people struggle with remembering right now, especially lessons from the book, because there's just so much information out there, and it doesn't really, like we all want novelty, and a lot of these ancient advices and tips and wisdom isn't really remembered anymore and practical for us to practice in our day-to-day lives, which is actually really important, because those informations actually take longer for you to remember, and one of the best things to remember is writing. So reading and writing goes hand in hand. If you actually ask a lot of the best authors, they mostly read to write better. So that's sort of the hand-in-hand thing that goes with reading and writing. So if you could just write a little bit about something that you read about, I think it is really helpful in reading. And sometimes it could even help you with wanting to read more, because you kind of you're stuck in a paragraph and you want to say something, but you can't articulate the words that you want to say. That's why when you read, then you kind of want to read more about that specific topic, and then you kind of become a chaser of specific knowledge, which helps you with making a strong argument of why that lesson was important for you. So this is like a 9-minute video of helping you how to read more, and I hope this video helped.